Hi everyone. Today we're going to start our final draft of our butterfly drawings. And this is a finished example. Here's the photograph and here's my drawing. I drew it first with pencil, then I traced it with ultra fine point Sharpie and colored it with colored pencils. That's going to take us about 3 classes. So for today, we're just going to be working on drawing the shape on our final paper of our butterfly and getting feedback from our partners. So if I start with this butterfly, I'm going to write my name on the back of my paper, write my class code, and then I'm going to look and see what letter is on the back. I'm going to write that and circle it. I know this is going to be the I butterfly because I need to find this same butterfly in the next 2 classes after today. Then I'll flip my paper over. I'm going to start sketching out where the butterfly is going to go on the paper first before I really begin drawing. And when we're working on this paper, instead of doing multiple drafts like you did in your sketchbook, you will be drawing on this paper, erasing, changing things, and continuing on this paper. This is the final paper. And so you want to make sure that you're drawing lightly, and you want to make sure that your butterfly is taking up the whole page, not just a tiny little butterfly here on my paper, and then I have all this empty space. So to get your butterfly to be large enough, the best thing to do is to kind of map it out with some dots. So I'm going to see this body is, it's a smaller body, and it's kind of in the middle and a little bit towards the top of the page. So if I find the middle and a little bit towards the top, I'm just going to do a very light oval. I'm not actually drawing the shape of that butterfly yet, just a kind of general oval to mark where it's going to go. And then I'm going to mark where the edges of the wings are going as well with little dots. And I'm pushing down super lightly with my pencil. If I push down really hard, it will be very difficult to erase that. So I need to start out by pushing down very lightly with my pencil because I know I will be erasing today. So I'm going to kind of trace out the wing, the shape of it. It'll be kind of like that. And I know I want it to reach near the edge of the paper. So right here, I'm just going to make a little dot. And I know that's about, and then opposite of that, I know that the other wing is going to come out the same because butterflies are symmetrical. So I'm going to make another dot over here in the same place on this side. So that is how big I want my wings to be. Same thing for the bottom of the wings. These wings kind of go down in this shape. So from the body, they're not going to go all the way to the bottom of the page because these are kind of shorter. But I'm going to be marking maybe right here and here for these spots. And then I could kind of like mark the bottom where that kind of comes down and just make a general, very light outline shape of how far out I want it to come. Now that is just a very general map now. It's kind of like a map of where the butterfly is going to go on the page. So now that I have that, I can start connecting the dots. And I see that the wing starts, well, first I can change the shape of the body. So I'm going to kind of adjust this, try to make I'm drawing a little bit harder, but not very hard yet because I know I'm going to erase it. I'm going to be talking with my partner in a few minutes and seeing what advice I can get to make it closer. Okay. Now I've got that main shape of the body. I see here about that far down, that's where the wing starts, and I know it's going to go out to that dot that I made. So I'm going to do this kind of curve, like that. Still drawing very lightly. That one might have been a little too much. And same thing, I'm going to try to make an opposite curve over here. And then I see that these wings, the top wing is starting right about here. It kind of makes like a U shape right there, and then curving down to there. And then it's going to go diagonal line, but with little bumpies, slight little bumps down to that spot, and then curving around. Same thing for this side. I'm going to try to match it, and then bumpity bump diagonal line coming this direction. All right, now I'm going to do the bottom wing, and I'm just going to keep going. I know I want it to reach right there. Okay, now I can add legs, and the antenna. All right, now I'm just doing shape. So after I have my shape drawn, I'm going to go to my partner and I'm going to be asking, what are some things that I can change about the shape first to make it closer to the photograph? So if you are my partner right now, looking at my drawing and looking at this photograph, what are some things that I can change to make my drawing closer to the photograph? Go ahead, I'll pause the video. Kind and specific feedback. All right, after coming back from suggestions, I might change some things. So I'm noticing first that these lines are not even. They're not symmetrical. I accidentally brought this one in over here and this one over here. So let me take a look closely at this space with the bottom wings. So I'm going to erase this because I know that wasn't quite right. And then I'll go back in and I'm going to see, okay, so the wing goes like that, over and then down. And then I want to try to make it opposite. This one looks like slightly higher up on this photograph, so I'm going to make it just slightly higher up. Okay, and then I'm going to try to follow my eye closely around because there's a lot of different little bumps on these wings here. Okay, and then I'm going to erase some of these lines from before. Okay, so that's looking a little bit closer to this photograph, so I'm going to try to match this side now. This one needed to come down some more right here to match this side and to look like the photograph. It's very thin, it comes straight down. And brings it back up. All right, so that bottom wing shape is looking closer to the photograph. Let me take a look at this top wing section. Okay, so I see here, there's a little white I see here there's a little white triangle that is the negative space behind where the wings meet, but mine, there's a whole space all the way to the body. So I know that that's not quite right. So I'm gonna bring this bottom wing up to the top wing. And then it separates about right here. And it starts those little bumps. Okay, and then this top wing. Now, I think that I made my bumps a little too big here. I can see these are bumps, but they're really just very slightly bumpy. So I'm going to erase that edge. But it's about right. The diagonal is about the right angle, but I need to make the bumps less bumpy. There we go. Okay, and I could probably do that same thing over here on this side. I'm going to erase that dot there. I don't need that anymore. There we go. All right, now my shape is looking pretty good. You might want to go back with your partners and discuss your shape a second time before you finalize it, but this is where you want to be at the end of the first class, if you can do this, is try to have just the shape mapped out so it's about the same as your butterfly photograph, as close as you can get it. And then next week when we come back, we're going to be just focusing on doing the pattern, discussing with your partners, and adjusting the pattern at the end. And then the week after that, we will start tracing with Sharpie and adding the colored pencil to the final version. All right, so your goal is to have that outline mapped out, discuss with your partners, and really try to get it as close to the photograph as possible today. Okay, have fun.